All right. So day 2. Obviously, I haven't left school yet, and it's 5 o'clock. So definitely not even day 2. I don't know what it is. 3, 4, whatever. Okay, so it's not systems. I realized that we made a mistake. It's not systems. It's solving equations. So I definitely need to fix that typo. Oh, and you can't even see what I'm doing. All right, give me a second. Apparently, I got kicked off of sharing my screen. So let me get back in. And I'll be right back. All right, here it is. So I realized that I don't have to tell you I'll be right back. I can just push pause and you wouldn't even notice I left. Because it doesn't look like I leave when I just push, I don't know, whatever. It's all new. I'll figure it out. So here we go. Solving equations. So instead of systems, it's supposed to say equations. So this should be page 6 in your notebook right after the work we did in class today or yesterday, whenever you're watching this. And so we're going to review solving equations. It's very similar to what I wrote down yesterday with Don't Call Me a Dummy, but it does have a little bit of a difference because that's an Algebra 1 shortcut. You guys have some fractions sometimes. So we're going to add in a couple of steps. So the first step is going to be distribute, just like normal, distribute everyone. Distribute everyone. Don't forget negatives. Sometimes you only have to distribute in a negative. So be very careful. Also, when you distribute, don't forget to multiply the negatives because there's a lot of times that people distribute and then all of a sudden like things don't turn negative or turn positive. It gets weird. The next one is going to be where you would clear fractions. If you had any fractions, this would be the time to clear fractions. That was not on purpose. Here we go. Clear fractions. And you're going to do that if you need to. It is not going to be all the time. It's not even going to be often. But you clear the fractions by making common denominators. And I'm sure that we will do them on the board in class tomorrow because those are the ones that are confusing. Those are the ones we haven't done in a long time and the ones that we tend to forget. Then you're going to combine like terms. Combine each side just like we did yesterday separately. Then you go to the next level. This is where you're actually going to solve. You're going to undo the variables to one side. To one side. You want to get all the variables on one side. And then you can do it at the same time. You can undo to get the numbers, which are actually called constants, numbers on the other side. And apparently I forgot to get on that line up above. If you didn't write it, I'm sorry. No, I'm not even going to change it because there's too many of you that are writing in pen. So those can be done at the same time. We are past Algebra 1. We can do those at the same time, save ourselves space, save ourselves some steps. Those can be done at the exact same time. Then you're going to divide to solve. Divide and multiply are the same step, but we've already cleared fractions at this point because we don't like fractions. So you're always only going to divide at the end if you need to. But don't forget that this is because your equation is cut in half. There's a line down the middle. That's not a straight line, but there's a line down the middle that makes two sides of the equation. So following these steps, same thing as yesterday, but a little bit beefier. You're going to distribute everyone. So that 2 distributed into here. -3, don't forget the negative. -3 distributes into there. Same over here. -5 distributes into that one. 3 is negative. A minus sign and a negative mean the exact same thing. So do not forget that that is important to remember those negatives. So that's 2x. 2 times -5 is -10. -3 times 2 is -6. -3 times -7 is +21. 12. -5 times 3. -5 times 1. Take the negative. Do not forget, because it has to get distributed as well. And that -3 times -7 has to become +21. So again, if I went too fast, rewind and watch again. You have to distribute every single one of those. And there's a lot of you watching this without sound. And the downside of that is you're not going to be paying attention. So be careful, because we're going to get into harder stuff. This is all review, but it's not going to stay that way. Then the next step says to clear any fractions, which we don't have any. Third step, combine each side. The side on the left has a lot going on. We've got 2x and -6x, which makes -4x. Then we got -10 and +21. So their different signs are going to subtract. 21 minus 10 is 11. And the bigger number is 21, so he's positive. Combine this side. 12 minus 5 is 7. Minus 15x. Standard form is not that important at this point. You don't have to worry about it. Putting the 15 first, it doesn't matter. It's not wrong if you do. The next step, move the variables, undo the variables to one side. We're supposed to move them to one side. So 15 is going to come over here, undo him. So he was negative, now he's positive. That goes under the 4. But at the same time, you're going to move the numbers to the same side. So if we brought 15 this way, then we have to bring 11 that way. Okay, they have to go opposite. So that's why, remember yesterday I kept putting an arrow and then I was erasing it? That's why. If 15 went that way and became positive, then that means 11 has to go that way and become negative. They have to go opposite directions. So you don't have to put the line, or the arrows. But for me, it makes more sense. We took the letters this way, we bring the numbers this way. So your next level says -15 or 4 and -15. 15 and -4 is 11x. And 7 minus 11 is, I don't know, 4. -4. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep. Divide by 11. This is one of those things that everyone freaks out about. You can have -4/11ths as your answer. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay, you don't like it because it's a fraction, but it doesn't mean you got the answer wrong, which is actually why usually I give you guys the negative or the odds for your answer so that you can check. You could also turn that into a decimal, and it is -0.36363636. So it's just going to repeat over and over and over again. The edge of the calculator has a 4 because it rounds, because the calculator rounds at the edge, but it's really going to go forever and ever and ever and ever. I don't care how you write it. Usually we leave things in fractions because they're the most correct, but it doesn't make a difference. All right, here's a problem with a fraction. Again, if you need to slow down and redo that one, pause, rewind, take the time, but we're going to move on. When you have fractions, here's the thing. You are multiplying. You're distributing. When you distribute a fraction, okay, let's put it over here. Actually, I'm going to write it in red because it's going to be important. Fractions. The top number means multiply. The bottom number means divide. That's literally all a fraction is. You multiply the top, you divide by the bottom. Okay? You multiply the top, divide by the bottom. That's all fractions are. 1/2 means multiply by 1, divide by 2. 1/2. So that's all that fractions mean. So if you're distributing 1/3, you're going to multiply the top, divide by the bottom. So 2 times 1 is 2/3. That's all you do. Okay. 1 times 7 is 7/3. Distribute here, you got 1x/2, and you get plus 1 times 3 is 3/2. Hopefully everybody gets that. You just multiply the top and divide by the bottom. All right, but now we distributed. Step 2 said to clear the fractions. Fractions are ugly. We don't love them. I know, I understand. I've been teaching for a long time. It's no different than every other year. So a shortcut for me to clear fractions is to find something that they all fit into. And you know that I associate things out loud. So this is going to be, my concept is going to be like matching pants. Okay, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, they all fit into the same pair of pants. It's like magic. The problem is you're only allowed to fit if it's even. Like 2 cannot fit into a 3. It doesn't fit in evenly. So the next size a 3 fits into evenly would be a 6. Does a 2 fit into a 6? Yes. So they all could fit into a 6. You legit could multiply the 2 numbers by each other and always get the right answer. It might not be the least common denominator, but it will always be a common denominator. And that's all that really matters. When you solve an equation, we could have made those all be 12 and it would have worked. We could have made those all be, what else do 6 and or 2 and 3 go into? 18, 24, 30. Okay, you could have made them exactly any of those numbers and you still would get the same answer when you finish, as long as it's a common denominator. So the problem is when you make common denominators, we now need to finish the problem and make them equivalent. So 3 times what got us that 6? We're turning that bottom 3 into a 6. So 3 times 2 would be 6. So you got to multiply the top. 2 times 2, that means this top is 4x. We can just take the x right with us. 3 times 2 is 6, so 7 times 2 is 14. But on the other side, now it's 2, so 2 is times 3, so the top times 3 would be 3x, times 3 would be 9. Now, here's the reason I like it this way. There's a lot of ways to clear fractions. You can do a ton of things, and you maybe learned it somehow differently. But here's what I like about this. If you have equivalent fractions, equivalent denominators, we can take this bottom and cross it off. Okay, take a second to soak that in. But the second you've made them all the same, that means those numerators have to form their own equation. And now there's no fractions. Okay, so you can solve it just like normal. Bring the 3x over, red rover, bring the 14 over. Don't forget to do the opposites because you're going to undo. So -3 and +14 gets you x equals 33, 23. Right? 23. Okay, so it takes a little bit of time to get those fractions gone, but it's way easier than actually dealing with fractions. You just get rid of them by making them all have the same bottom and then cutting it off, theoretically. Okay, so I know that that was short, but that's huge to digest. So maybe watch it again, try one. We're going to try them in class tomorrow. Hopefully you actually listened and didn't just copy. So I will see you tomorrow. All right, bye.